We are also doing an in-depth series tonight on juvenile crime in Minneapolis and surrounding areas.
Yeah, you may have seen the promos that we've had on the air. Paul Bloom is covering this story. It's called Nowhere to Go. Let's take a look.
We have a juvenile crime crisis in the community.
Because this is the problem that we've been seeing all year.
It's becoming so dangerous.
Younger and younger offenders.
We have charges approved against that 10-year-old for reckless driving.
We hear the back and forth.
When we get cases from law enforcement that are prosecutable, we prosecute them.
The finger pointing.
We can't keep arresting these kids.
We hold young people accountable.
There is a crisis ongoing here. What to do with these children?
I said, where are you going to put them? And they said, we have nowhere to put them.
We don't have the resources that we need in our community.
Do they tell you we can't hold them anymore?
Yep.
And what we have come to find out in some of these cases, you would rather leave a kid locked up in juvenile detention, violate the law just to keep them safe. These kids have absolutely nowhere to go. We set out this year to really zero in on what's going on the streets, in the courts, in the justice system, in juvenile detention, to understand what is happening. We devoted this year to court records, to going to the courts, to talking to the stakeholders, to talking to the families.
My biggest frustration is not having the resources for my son.
The desperate parents who need help to better tell that story and make sure this community understands what is going on, why it is going on, and maybe just how we can find our way out of it.
That is the crisis we're all facing.
It definitely feels like they have no respect for their own lives, let alone the lives of other people, and certainly no fear of consequences.
How do we tackle something that normally would have been a 16-year-old? Now we have a 12-year-old doing it.
We would hear of kids as young as 10, 11, 12 with dozens of contacts with police.
4 kids shot between 11 and 14 is outrageous.
I meet with the kids. I see them wherever they are. If they're in custody, if they're in a hospital setting, if they're at home, depending on what the circumstances are. All of the kids, though, currently have been in detention.
Typically, children in that 10 to 13 range, just by the nature of brain development, are found incompetent by the courts.
And at that point, the child, if they're in custody, needs to be released from the juvenile detention center.
The question is then, where do you release him to?
I said, where are you going to put them? And they said, we have nowhere to put them.
A 12-year-old detained against the law at the juvenile detention center in downtown Minneapolis.
This is a 12-year-old boy ruled incompetent.
Minnesota has very clear laws that prohibit that. It's very clear. No child placed in the care of the county can be left in a detention center.
And that's what really drew me into this case, is his attorney said he is being detained illegally. The county is doing wrong here. They need to get him out of that. That is no place for a sick 12-year-old boy to be.
It is not a therapeutic environment. It's not a rehabilitative environment. It is just detention.
He's a child in need of treatment, and he is recommended for a level of care known as PRTF, Psychiatric Residential Treatment Facility Level Care, and that is what the county aims to find for him.
What you want is a place that actually provides the care that the kid needs. So if a kid has certain types of trauma or certain types of needs, you got to match it up.
There are 4 such facilities across the state licensed by our DHS department. What we've come to find out from Hennepin County is over the years, they have referred hundreds and hundreds of troubled children and have only managed to get about 24 of those children admitted for care. Startling numbers. That was a shocking moment.
About 1/3 of the beds statewide are not staffed. So literally, if we were fully staffed, we would have 1/3 of the more beds open for treatment that we just don't have now.
We subsequently dug deeper. We wanted to see the numbers for ourselves. Referrals across the state, just this year alone, topping 250 already, and less than 1/4 are getting admitted.
a label gets applied. So when a kid is labeled violent in the juvenile system, the behavioral side will look at that and say, oh, I don't know if we can take that kid. We don't have the wherewithal. And they may be right.
What's going on? Why aren't the PRTFs taking on some of these Hennepin County kids that we're seeing in the system? Any idea?
You know, just like anything, it's really complicated.
We spoke to, I suppose, an advocacy group that represents the PRTFs.
There is no bad guy in this story. It's far more complex than that.
How can they say no? You know, she points out that it is a tricky situation.
Some of the children that we are needing to serve are highly complex and beyond the capacity of our existing providers to meet.
They'll take certain children and they seem to categorically reject other children.
They're cherry picking my son, I feel.
The violent component of their behavior clearly complicates the puzzle.
It's like, you know, nobody wants to help him, so let him, you know, commit a crime and then we can put him in JDC, and I don't think that's so unfair. I think that's so unfair.
It's got to be matched up with the kind of care that will help them, and so that sometimes can be difficult, and sometimes you got to wait. And so is it a case of, do we wait a couple weeks to get them in the right place? I would argue it is.
You would rather leave a kid locked up in juvenile detention, violate the law just to keep them safe?
Well, if we're going to say the interest of the kid is supreme, then get in the right place. And so we can move in places, but if it's not the right place. So I think there's a balance that we try to strike.
When children with disabilities are being illegally jailed by the government, which is what happened in these cases, that is simply not how a civilized society can operate.
If detention is the best solution that we have to offer our sick babies, we have absolutely failed.
Does this office have an opinion on holding kids at the JDC that young?
I mean, I think almost everybody would agree that it's not a good place for a young person that age.
Every day we have staff that are making calls, they're reaching out and they're trying to see facilities that could do it, when beds might be available. If someone's like, oh, it's a year wait, well, you know, the statewide facility that's supposed to be that safe net, it can be a year. So, okay, that's not an option. Okay, is there out-of-state placements?
The only option is to send them out of state 1,000 miles away.
They ended up sending him to Utah.
As part of this project, I sat down with a mom of one of these kids who has been sent out of state.
My son was part of the Kia Boys.
He's been shot a couple of times, even before his 14th birthday. He's been in a crashed up car that injured 7, stolen car, crashed into a bus shelter.
If he kills somebody else, now he's in jail for a long period of time. And if he kills himself, now I lose a son.
There is a crisis ongoing here.
When you get caught joyriding in a stolen car, especially if it's multiple times, there needs to be a consequence.
What to do with these children, younger and younger offenders.
It is not unusual for us to see 11 and 12-year-olds involved in, you know, if they were committed by an adult, would be significant felonies. Car thefts, robberies, fleeing the police.
The age of the kids that we're seeing commit some of this stuff is much younger. And so that's something the system, who would ever thought that you'd have a 10-year-old, right? Or a 9-year-old or something.
The system is set up to deal with the problems of the past and not the reality that we're experiencing today.
We need places to send them. There is nowhere for these kids to go.
You can't put them in the JDC, you can't put them in a DOC correctional facility. They're not competent. It's a constitutional requirement. And so we have to have resources on the other side.
And that is the task now ahead of lawmakers at the county level, certainly at the state level.
We know what the solutions are. Are there barriers to getting there? For sure.
You can't just say, you got to take them, right? You need to provide them with the money so that they're staffed to take a kid who has high needs. So I can't blame someone when they're like, I can't afford to hire anybody. And we've seen some of these treatment centers go out of business. And it is about staffing, it is about reimbursement.
What's the message to the legislature, the people who hold the purse strings?
We need investment, and with investment, we can resolve the children's mental health crisis.
I think all of us are to blame. I mean, I don't ever look and go, oh, it's their fault, it's their fault. I think, you know, when a kid arrives at our doorstep for our care, they might have 10, 12, 14 years of untreated mental health. They may have addiction, lots of trauma in their life. So they come to us needing help on day one.
where is the help? Where do people step in and really try to help with these kids?
You know, some people are going to look at these kids as awful, violent offenders, but they're children. And in our society, handles children differently. And there is typically a back and forth, a relationship between the county, between the juvenile justice system and the family to figure out the best course of action for any one child. And that trust now is broken.
And so Paul Bloom now joining us here. As we saw in your piece, this is an urgent situation. So what is happening at the moment to try to manage the crisis?
Yeah, it absolutely is. We've heard from the county attorney and the city council president in Minneapolis in an op-ed. They called it an urgent crisis. They need, they're asking for more residential treatment facilities. They know that's the solution. They need money to make it happen. The Hennepin County Board, you saw Commissioner Jeffrey Lundy there. He's leading the charge. They've just signed off on a work group, metro-wide work group, to get all the parties, all the stakeholders together, and they're setting some tight deadlines here. They want a preliminary report in January for suggestions for the legislature. Final report due a few months after that, but there is no doubt this issue is heading to the Capitol, St. Paul, next session.
In your report, Paul, you mentioned that some of the children with the greatest needs are being sent to other states. What are other states doing that might be different or better than what we're doing?
Right. Well, you heard from the one mother. She had her son go to Utah. One of these 12-year-old boys who was recently locked up illegally for weeks at a time, more than a month. Hennepin County was able to find a bed for him, but that was in Virginia. So there are certainly states that have facilities that might treat these high complex, very complicated, violent offenders. That's the key you heard in my story there. The violent side of these of the children's past make it really complicated for them to get into the state-level hospitals here in Minnesota. So there are other facilities, other places that feel comfortable taking on those kids, and we are seeing that happen. But this family that had the 12-year-old locked up ready to go to Virginia, they said, no way, we don't want that kid going off to Virginia. That would tear apart our family. You know what that family did in the end? They got him out of the JDC, and now they've moved. They moved out of state. They've taken that child down to the Chicago area.
Well, with that said then, I mean, what is Minnesota currently, other than shipping kids out or this sort of no man's land that they frequent, what local options are in play or being talked about?
Well, and you talk about what other states, no one's doing this perfectly. Let's be frank. This problem is a nationwide problem. There are other states that have very specific facilities. But one thing Jeff Lundy talked about, again, that commissioner leading the charge here in Hennepin County, is let's look at what a state like New York State does, which is no rejection, no ejection, meaning once a child is taken, if they need the services, they're coming into the care of the state. But then the resources are there to help that child. So if it takes a social worker, a therapist, 24/7, 2-3 of them to sit or be with a child to make sure they're locked down in the right place where they need to be, getting the help they need. New York does it that way. Is it time to have that conversation? But then what do we talk about? That's big time funding. And is the state legislature ready to do that?
It's all so complicated. I mean, just the nature of it. You have a problem. All of this is reactionary. It will take years to put solutions in place. And that is the very difficult situation that so many people who are at the table are facing.
And just briefly, Paul, remind our viewers the age group we're talking about here. They're kids.
It is, and then that's what really has changed this dynamic. These crimes that had been committed, typically that 15 to 18 range, now is down to 10 to 13, even 8, 9 years old. And those children are very, very rarely ever competent. And once they're found incompetent, our Constitution says those kids can no longer be held in detention centers. So you can build all the jails, all the cells, everything you want, but these kids, our government, our Constitution demands that these kids are placed in care facilities and get treatment, and we try to get them on the road. And that's what I think everybody is doing. That's this desperation here of nowhere to go. And I think this really came to show this community what was going on was when in August, we had, what, 4 children shot, 10 to 13 years old. And what was so scary is they believe someone in that very same age group fired the automatic gunfire at that stolen vehicle with those 4 kids. So that's what you're talking about, these behaviors.
Elementary, middle school kids.
I know.
That's why your piece is so important, because it shows all of the layers of this, and there are many.
All right, Paul. Nice job. Good reporting.
Thank you.
All right.